Okay, so we got these all popped out now. Moving on to the next phase here. We're going to show you how we go about doing this. Frankly, these are some righteous looking cases. By all rights and imaginations, in most worlds, those are ready to neck turn. And this is exactly how I did some of the ones that I made when I first designed this cartridge. I popped out. Some of them I turned on the mantle right next door in the neck turning station, which is literally 2 feet away from my left elbow over here. And they're okay. They're great. But I'm trying now to do this neck turning on the lathe thing, and for that, they're not great. They have a little bit more wobble. I probably have some video of me turning necks old school somewhere from back. I know I used to tape some of these operations even years ago with my wife has a Canon that does really good work. And I've now inherited it, and I'm trying to put it to work on this documentation stuff. But what we're going to do now is we are going to talk about the next step, which is loading these things up and going to town with them safely. This is the key. Safely. I'm going to try something with this little guy right here. I'm going to see if these are going to be readable. These are, maybe I'll start at the top bleacher and we'll read down like Merkins. Be left to right, no Hebraic language here. I'm going to put these two 19.7s together only because I can. Because I'm cool like that. Basically for the same reason a dog licks his tummy. Because I can do whatever I want. I can spill them all over the floor if I want. That was slick. I looked over at the monitor to see if I could read them. But we're at the point anyway where I just wanted to show you the progression. This one is 14.4 grains of clays. And it gave us a neck that looks like that. I don't know if any of this shows on the camera, but basically this neck is 98%, but it's fat back here, it's skinny up here, it's not blown out smoothly. Now these are some of the cases I wrecked, neck turning on the lathe. I say wrecked advisedly. They're not wrecked. I can still do load works up, so I can. The problem is that for me this is a pretty well explored cartridge. I know what I can do with it. It's not a, different barrels. Everybody's like, well, yeah, there's fast barrels, there's slow barrels, I'm kind of through all that. I used to say that, and I used to believe that because that was the fact of what I was seeing, but many times I've learned through the years that what I see is not actually accurate. What I see is probably accurate, but my rationale, my reasoning sometimes. So here's 17. 17 looks pretty good. I think you can see that in the camera. It's starting to pop out. We're starting to see. Then we go up to 19.7. I believe, yes, there's 19.7 grains on a turned neck. And hopefully on that turned neck you'll be able to see that there's quite a bit of residue between. I talked about this when we first did this. I made the guiding means a little shorter on this one. I was playing with that, so I only ran it up into the die a little ways. And I talked about the work hardening, the fact that they're going to, each time you move brass and let it stop, it work hardens. Here's a 19.7 grains, no neck turn, right out of the rack over there. Not one of the screwed up ones, I took a new one. And I went ahead and ran it up to 19.7. Now, at 19.7, the case is starting to get full. Like, that might be where most people would stop. Well, I managed to get all the way up to 21.7. So there's a couple of them here. there's a 21.7 with wax, which means that I ran it up to 21.7, and then by flicking and smacking it on the counter, I was able to get it down to about here, and then I jammed it into a beeswax candle. Not saying beeswax is better, but beeswax is better. It's pretty cool stuff. So I jammed it into a beeswax candle, buried it, pushed the powder down a little bit more probably, broke it off, didn't break it off because beeswax is gummy, you can chew it like gum. Took it out and fired it. So one of these is with wax, one of them is not. One of them just has a little plug that I made out of paper towel. They came out identically. As I'm holding them, I can see that we're just getting what I'm looking for, which is so that you can see the step in the neck, which is, in fact, that work hardening ring from me running this down, stopping, and then running it all the way down. So I've done these somewhat differently. We'll see how they blow out, but I have a hunch these ones I just did won't blow out with as much of a work hardening ring. This was done, though. I started way down here at 14.4 grains, and the primer is not only round on this, it's just like, it was just a gentle pop. The shoulders are still completely round. It just went pop, and didn't. So I moved up to 17, then to 19.7, and I was doing this, the reason we got these weird numbers is because I was just cranking them out on my Harrow, which I'm going to do here in a minute. This is one place where weighing loads doesn't mean a thing. Crank, 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 crank. All we're doing is popping the brass out. There's enough variation in the brass that even if I weighed the loads, well, sometimes I get a little weird. 21.7 is what I decided on. That's what I have the Harrow set at now. That's what I'm going to fill all these up. And I'm not going to, again, make you sit here the whole time while I'm filling them. But I wanted to go over a few key things. When you're doing this, remember, guys, prime them first. I know that this is reloading 101. I know that everybody knows that, but when you're doing something different, it's so easy to forget what it is that you're doing. And I just seated the primer upside down. I knew that sounded weird. So, good thing I have my safety glasses on, and I avert my eyes. That time we have a primer. Boom. I'm going to prime up a few of these and just show you how we do this on the Harrow. Doesn't matter which powder thrower, but a Harrow trickles well. A Harrow will fill a case fuller than some of your cheap powder throwers simply because it gives you the facility of trickling. And trickling into your case, maybe I'll do one here in just a minute. Okay, so there we've got a few primed up. Now, at this juncture, I have to stop, place this here because I'm talking, move these 22 bullets. See, this was another thing. These are some old junk Sierra 52 matches that I had kicking around. They're only part of a box here. Going into this, before I decided to blow them out with clay shotgun powder, I toyed with the idea of dropping a 22 caliber bullet in on top of some powder. But it's just loose enough on this particular. I had thought it might be cool. When I've done it in the past, I just drop it in the case and I fire, but I have to go down, obviously, so I can fire into a berm. And I have had situations where it wasn't perfect, where I spilled a little powder into the chamber, and next thing I know I got 2 or 3 grains that are leaked out around. Anyway, I thought with these big old 6.5 necks, cranking them down to 6, maybe they'll be thick enough that a bullet will at least touch in there. I could, wrap a piece of leather around it or something, But anyway, it's too loose. I didn't even try it. I got acceptable results with the clays. Just barely fits in. But here's where we're going to do this. I need to get out another reloading block. This block goes with those. I'm going to use this one because I think it will hold this upside down-y. Just to keep my head straight. I think that, that can work. So, anytime I fire this up, first of all, the Heralds recommend that you just lift and lower. Now you can't see this, but watch this. It's clear up into the powder drop tube here. When I drop this, I have a full case and a bunch of powder in my hand. Now it's going to be hard for me to even do what I was going to do, which is going to be to weigh this, because I knew it was going to, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Just a confirmation weight. Now, the number we were going for, wait a minute, it's not 21.7. I went up above that. I went to, I managed to get more in. I got all the way up to 22.84. I forgot all about this step, and I wrote it in my hand because I wasn't at the place to be able to write on the case. This should be more like 22.88. Must have had more sticking to my sweaty palm than I thought. 22.6, 22.8, doesn't matter. We're blowing out cases. Now I'll never get this back in. Just going like this. I already tried it and it still is up in the pan laying around. So I have to dump this. Put a pan on there. Well, I don't know if that's going to settle down until I put the cover on. Just going in and out. Earlier I went out and did some fireforming and opening the door and going in and out in this cold Washington weather. It was like 50. Screwed my scales all up. Oh well, it'll settle down. So here we are. This case is now empty. What I'm going to do is I start down underneath here and I tilt it way to the side. I'm going to see what I can get in the camera. There we go. We're tilted pretty good. Can you see that tilt? That's a weird tilt for me, but I go up. Now when I come down, you won't see the powder drop or the falling, I'm sure. But I'm falling, I'm trickling. Those little pellets are going in and rolling around and down. And yeah, this takes a little bit of time. But we're well, way down in the neck of the case here. Now, as I'm talking and moving around, I reach for my paper towel here. And I'm banging on the counter as I reach for the paper towel. Now, those of you that may well be paranoid about tapping this thing on the counter is going to blow your hand off. Go golf. Go do something else. Because I'm a safety geek, freak, but I'm also real about safety. The only way you can stay really safe is to stay home and lay in bed and not move, which of course will kill you in just a few years. So, a little wad of tissue. Basically, I guess I could say as much as you can cram in there, but it's not. It's the size of a chickpea, size of a small, it's a 6mm rolled up. It's tight enough that I can, if it happens to be raining and I don't want to go out, I can stand right in the window and hold it out the window and chuck them in and kabang, kabang, kabang. It's as loud as shooting. But anyway, there's one ready to go. So we take another one. This gets really repetitious after this, but I'm going to do just enough that you can see my angle here, what I'm actually doing. Doing it Herald style, the way they tell me to. Now the reason I've given it a few taps down here is twofold. Number one is because this clay shotgun powder in the winter, these are tiny little frisbee flakes. They are more prone than most to bridge or hang up in there. The other thing is when I tap it, it shakes this tube, which in effect settles that powder a little bit more. So now, while I'm searching around for another piece of paper towel, I bang that down, and I take a piece of paper towel about, that's too big. Again, because I'm cool like that, I can tell. I'll probably be able to get it to jam in there. And there was a time when I was anal enough that I would rip that down because it's different weight. It would be like firing a 108 grain bullet one time and a 105 grain bullet the other time. In fact, in this case of this paper towel, the difference is probably 20–30%. But then I took the time to run the math, and I went, which means, Al, shut up. You know, that time I ran it too fast. That case is clear up in. I'm going to have to bang it and bang it and bang it, and hopefully, okay, it's going, it's going, it's going. Get it down in the case. There. I got it down in the case, but barely. Bang, 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 biggity bang, biggity bang. Gotta be biggity banging that thing, bangity bang. Now, one of reloading practice that all of you are familiar with is the fact that you got to eyeball your cases at the end of a reloading round. Make sure you got powder in them all. Pretty hard to miss the powder in these ones. It's basically gurgling right out the top. See if I can lay this one in better. Maybe I'll spin it. This is one place where spinning the case actually makes a difference. Spinning the case in a real, look at that. Holy crap. Can't even see the powder in now when it's so far down. That spinning the case just laid it in there like cordwood, man. Stacked it in. No tickety tap, 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 tap. No tap, no tap. No tap on that one. Try that again, just show it out, just to brag. So, slow. Here's what you got to picture. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing an ice cream sundae or whatever that thing is where they swirl it around a bit. I'm making one of those beeswax candles. Whoa, I'm looking in there. I can't even see the powder. Looking through the side of this clear drop tube, I can see the powder. At this angle, I can't even see the powder in there. You can from up there because the camera's way up above. But, same thing. So close that literally it's laid in there to where I don't even have to tap it anymore. Now, if I was doing a bunch of these, which I'm not even going to worry about it, but if I was doing a bunch of these, I'd go get a long drop tube. I would set the thrower up somewhere useful, because right now all I did was I went out, grabbed it out of one of my reloading boxes, unclipped it, brought it in here, stuck it in where it's warm, where the camera can run. I mean, it's actually out in a conditioned room, my shooting area. So the shooting area is nicer than in here. So that would, but I just didn't want to really, the real problem is there's somebody out there watching something and talking and stuff. So I don't want to be out there bothering them. I snuck back into here. So I brought this thrower in here. It's not ideal. It's not in the perfect setup. It's not in the, I know I should oil this chair, but I tried it before and it didn't work. I don't know where the oil goes. So this was for illustration only. Anything that I'm doing like this for illustration, anything you see that's kludgy, this is about techniques, but not finalized techniques. It's like, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, this is what we need to accomplish, and this is how we can accomplish it. Now make your own production line. Make it work, make whatever. But where we're at right now, what we've gone through right now is we've made cases, and we've made the straightest cases you will ever see in your born days already. And now, when they're fire formed, they are stinking golden, people. And that's popping them out, fireforming them, knocks this corner, sharpens it up, gives me a place for the cutter bit to stop, pops this shoulder out. They fall out of the gun. Everything is nice. Unfortunately, when I did my fireforming video, I set the light too dark. I was shooting straight into a sunset hillside, in my defense. I was doing everything that you don't do with a camera. I was standing in the dark under a lean-to, shooting out with my shooting range. And my shooting range is set up so that I can shoot late. It's up on a hillside, and that hillside is lit until long after dark. And today I was so close to dark that the hillside was lit, but down where I was, I just flat couldn't suck enough light. And I couldn't see the monitor. So you're not going to be able to see the fact that these go in, heel them in, they fall out. Oh well. Maybe when I get it uploaded and on video, I'll be able to brighten it up and make it look better. But as of right now, I went out and did this fireforming before it got dark. So I'm filming this in reverse because the first time I filmed this, I actually did a way better job. It was way cooler. There was like cats and crocodiles and funny. You would laugh. Ha! But I can't do that one because I had the music on. So we're going to have to deal with this one. And we'll catch you on the other side of the other side.